All right, everybody, buckle up. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the fascinating world of transport engineering.
That's right. Get ready to explore the future of how we move people and goods across the globe.
And we're not just talking about your everyday traffic jams and potholes. We're talking cutting-edge innovations in transportation, like the bridge in the Netherlands.
Oh yeah, the 3D printed bridge.
You know it. It's completely 3D printed,
Wild.
completely made of stainless steel. Just incredible.
It really highlights how transport engineers are pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Absolutely. They're shaping the future of how we connect and move, and their work is more important than ever, especially with the growing need for sustainable solutions.
Exactly. They're like the architects of our interconnected world.
Speaking of sustainability, we've got a ton of listener questions about how that plays into transport engineering. So what are some of the biggest challenges and innovations in creating eco-friendly transportation?
Well, I think one of the most pressing issues is figuring out how to reduce carbon emissions.
Makes sense.
So transport engineers are really at the forefront of designing and implementing solutions.
Okay, so what does that look like? Like, what are they doing?
Well, for example, they're the ones designing the infrastructure for electric vehicles, high-speed rail lines that rival air travel, even urban planning strategies to encourage things like walking and cycling.
Right, so it's like they're not just designing a bridge or a road, they're thinking about the whole ecosystem of how people and things move around.
Exactly. It's a much more holistic approach than people realize.
You mentioned earlier that they're like architects. What's the day-to-day reality of this job actually like?
Well, honestly, a typical day for a transport engineer can vary quite a bit.
Okay.
I mean, you could be in the office, working with a team on computer-aided designs, doing simulations, or maybe even crunching numbers for a project's budget.
Right.
But then the very next day, you might find yourself out on a construction site, overseeing the work, managing contractors, or even using drones to survey a potential route for a new railway.
Wait, hold on. Drones for surveying.
Oh.
That's incredible. Is that becoming more common in this field?
Absolutely. Drones have become really essential for surveying and mapping large areas quickly and efficiently.
I can see why.
They can capture really high-resolution images and data.
Right.
And engineers can use that to create those really detailed 3D models of the terrain, the infrastructure, even model the traffic flow. And that technology, it not only saves time and money, but it provides a much more accurate and comprehensive set of data compared to the traditional surveying methods.
Wow, it sounds like this field is a really dynamic mix of creative problem solving and using all this cutting-edge technology.
It definitely keeps things interesting.
I can see why it's attracting so many people these days.
Yeah, it's a really exciting field to be a part of.
So let's say someone listening is totally hooked on this career path. What does that journey to becoming a transport engineer actually look like?
Well, like most engineering disciplines, it usually starts with getting a solid educational foundation.
Okay, so what does that mean?
So typically a bachelor's degree in civil engineering,
Okay.
or sometimes a more specialized field, like if you can find a program in transportation engineering.
Right.
But that's typically the minimum requirement to get your foot in the door.
That makes sense. So you've got your degree, maybe you've done a couple of internships to get some experience.
Right.
What happens next? Is it all about the technical skills, or are there other qualities that help a transport engineer really stand out?
You're hitting on a really important point.
Okay.
Obviously, technical expertise is super important, but it's really only one part of the equation.
Okay, so what's the other part?
Well, the most successful transport engineers out there, they also have a really strong set of soft skills.
Soft skills.
Yep.
Okay, so we're talking about things like communication, problem solving, collaboration. I can see how those would be critical, especially in a field like this where you're working on such large-scale projects with all kinds of different stakeholders. Could you maybe elaborate on those a little bit more? Like, why are those skills so important for transport engineers?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with communication, because it's really key. I mean, think about it. You're not just presenting your technical data to other engineers all day.
Right, right.
You need to be able to explain these very complex concepts to all different types of audiences, whether it's clients, government officials, even members of the community.
Right, people who might not have that technical background. So
Exactly.
you really have to make it understandable to everybody.
You have to get everyone on the same page.
It's almost like being a translator.
In a way, yeah, you're bridging the gap between the technical world and the everyday world.
That must be a skill in and of itself, honestly.
It definitely is. And then you've got problem solving. I mean, every single project comes with its own unique set of challenges, right?
Right.
So whether it's navigating difficult terrain, figuring out how to work within a tight budget, finding ways to minimize the environmental impact, there's always something.
Yeah, you got to think on your feet.
And that's where those skills really come in. Transport engineers need to be adaptable, think on their feet, and come up with those creative solutions to those unexpected problems.
I imagine those challenges are kind of what make it rewarding too, right?
Oh, for sure.
Every day is different. Every single project is unique.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads us into the last one, which is collaboration.
Okay.
Because transport engineers, they're almost never working in isolation.
Right.
They're always part of this much larger team, working with architects, urban planners, environmental scientists, you've got the construction crews, and so many others.
Right. So many different people involved.
And so being able to effectively work within that team environment, being able to listen to all of these different perspectives and communicate your ideas clearly is just absolutely crucial to making sure the project is successful.
So it sounds like a career that really challenges you to use both sides of your brain, the analytical side and that creative, people-oriented side.
Definitely.
So it's clear that to really make it as a transport engineer, you need this really diverse skill set. But the job market, it can be tough out there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No matter how talented you are, there's a lot of competition for these roles.
So what advice would you give to aspiring transport engineers to make their application really stand out?
Well, I think having a really strong portfolio is key. It can really make a difference.
I was just going to ask about that. So let's say you're up against a ton of other applicants. How do you make your work experience really shine, really grab their attention?
I think it's all about going beyond just listing out your projects. You need to really showcase the value that you bring to the table.
Okay, so how do you do that?
So you really highlight those specific challenges that you faced on each project, the innovative solutions that you came up with, and then the impact that your work had.
That makes sense, yeah. Don't just tell them, show them. And speaking of showing them, I've heard that RoleCatcher has some pretty cool tools for actually building an amazing portfolio.
Oh, they totally do.
Yeah.
They've got these templates and resources that are specifically designed for engineers,
Oh, wow.
which is so helpful because, trying to present your work effectively, that can be a challenge in and of itself.
Right, yeah. You want it to look good, too.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And they also have this other really amazing feature called RoleCatcher.capture.
I've heard about that. Tell me more.
Okay, so imagine you're working on a project, you're in your CAD software, and you have this amazing idea, you've solved this design problem.
Right, you have that aha moment.
Yeah, exactly. But a lot of times those moments are kind of hidden, right?
Right.
They're buried in your project files. They're not something that you can easily show off.
Yeah.
But with RoleCatcher.capture, you can actually record your screen, your voice, everything as you're working.
Oh, wow.
And then you can take that recording and just plug it directly into your portfolio.
So you're really capturing that thought process.
Exactly. So instead of just saying you're a great problem solver, you're actually showing them how your brain works.
Wow, that's really next level. I bet that makes you stand out.
It really does. But obviously the portfolio is just one part. You also have to nail that interview.
Right, of course. And speaking of interviews, I have to bring up RoleCatcher again because they're known for their interview prep stuff too, right?
Yeah, they're amazing for that.
Yeah.
They have this huge database of real interview questions, and they're tailored to all different industries.
Okay.
And yeah, I've actually used RoleCatcher myself when I was interviewing earlier in my career.
Oh, cool.
And it was honestly invaluable just to kind of understand what questions I might be asked, how to frame my answers in a compelling way.
It's almost like getting a sneak peek behind the curtain, right?
Exactly.
So you get a little preview.
And you know what the best part is? They even use AI now to analyze your practice responses.
Oh, wow. Really?
And then they give you personalized feedback.
So it's like having a personal coach in your pocket.
Yeah, basically. It's really helpful for fine-tuning your answers. And honestly, it's a huge confidence booster, too.
So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by the whole job hunting process, it sounds like RoleCatcher could be a really amazing resource.
Definitely. And like I said before, it's never too early to start exploring.
Well said. We hope this deep dive into the world of transport engineering has given you a taste of what it takes to break into this exciting field. Maybe even inspired you to start building your own path. It's such an incredible opportunity to really shape the future of how we move and connect and leave a lasting impact on the world. And as always, keep those wheels turning.